American Top Team, South Florida, Coconut Creek. Wow. Josh Silveira is, what a tremendous ride. High school wrestling, college wrestling, MMA. We got to shout out Cardinal Gibbons High School. Oh, you know what? I'm going to shout out Naples, Barron Collier, Coach Joe, and then Coach Frank at Gibbons. You know, the salesman, Coach Frank. Always a good time. We're going to talk a little high school wrestling because the Moccos did well again. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. So Josh is in the PFL tournament. This is the third time in the PFL tournament. And they're starting April. It's going to be at Universal Studios Orlando, all the different divisions. This middleweight division that he's in is stacked between, oh my God, Aaron Jeffrey, Dalton Rosta, Impa, Josh, Say is in it as well.
Sadibou Sy. Yeah,
Sadibou Sy, thank you for that. Sadibou Sy is in it as well, who you beat last year in the tournament. This is a little different because it's quarterfinals, then semifinals, then championship.
Yeah, 3 fights.
So 3 fights. So it's a little different. And first of all, I'm just your thoughts of, okay, let's just right away go into the quarterfinals and get that going. And your thoughts on that?
I mean, I like it. I think, you know, with the old format, I did like it because it was $1 million, obviously, you know, but it's a long season. I think it comes out to like an 8-month season, you know. So here is like by August we're finishing up, you know, and it gives us time to do the championship series, if they do the championship fighter series in Saudi Arabia or something like that, or it just gives us time to do something else or just rest for the next season, you know. So I do like this format. Obviously everybody wants the $1 million, but I'm cool with the $500,000 too. Yeah. $500,000 is still nice too, so I'm not complaining over there, you know. And I'm excited. The new weight class, new format, kind of straight to the point. I feel like for the first time, well, not for the first time, but I feel like PFL finally got something going that they're gonna be able to stick with. You know what I mean? Obviously, you're never gonna know the final product of whatever you're trying to build in the beginning stages. You know, so I think they finally got a good rhythm going. They got a good roster, good athletes. So I think PFL can make some great noise this year. Just with the format and then the athletes they got, you know, I think that speaks for itself.
It's interesting too, because in saying that, when you say great roster and they've been growing and improving, how much is Bellator, PFL buying Bellator, joining forces with Bellator, helps that as well in this tournament?
100%. I think when there's any dramatic change like that or drastic change where a company buys that, like UFC bought Strikeforce and Pride and that things of that I'm not sure if UFC bought Strikeforce. Did they buy Strikeforce?
I know they had Pride, but I'm not sure about Strikeforce.
Pride, and I know they had some deals with Strikeforce, but every time there's a drastic change like that, there's always going to be good and the bad, right? So I think Bellator was a huge organization, but I think when PFL bought them out, you know, there was a lot of people that essentially lost jobs too. You know what I mean? But solely on building the organization, I think you're in a good position because you have great fighters now. You went from having great fighters to having even greater fighters. You know, so I think PFL is going in the right direction with the Bellator fighters. I think it definitely enhances the roster, and I think at the end of the day, as long as you still keep pulling these big name guys, you know, when you go look in my weight division, right? You have household names like Impa and myself, guys who fought with the PFL, but then you throw in Fabian Edwards in there, and then Aaron Jeffrey. You know what I mean? Those guys they're tough. Even Dalton has a good Bellator household name. You know, so we're kind of seeing like these matchups that we would never get to see if there's organizations were split apart, right? This is the whole big dream of like hopefully organizations are more, you know, we get to more clashing with each other. But you know, that's for another day. But in the PFL, we get to see that this season, especially in all the weight classes. I'm sure they're all PFL and Bellator people in there.
And with this middleweight division, because you mentioned some of them and all, and it's interesting because Dalton, so you have Dalton in here, and the way the brackets work, if it's going to be an American Top Team final, it'll be you and Dalton. What's it like then training with him? And then also then, if it comes to that, I know you don't want to look too far ahead because you got to go through the quarterfinals, semifinals, but just a thought of that, because that happened a couple of years ago. when you was in this, was in the semifinals?
With Omari.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it was 2 ATT fighters and all.
Yeah.
Just what's that like when it's getting ready for something like that?
It's a little intense and a little bit it's a little bit of like you don't realize it till you're in there and you're like, man, I really gotta punch this guy in the face. But in my experience, I was on the bad end of the decision, right? I ended up losing that fight. So instant, like I'm never gonna let that happen again. You know, in a sense, I can't control if I win or lose. That's what's gonna happen already. But in a sense of I'm not gonna fight this guy like he's my teammate for the next 15 minutes to 25, depending on if it's a championship fight or just a regular fight. I'm not gonna fight this guy like he's my teammate because I already learned that lesson and I learned how bad that sucked, losing, right? That year, even though Omari lost the finals, man, he got to fight one more fight. He got to make one more paycheck. He got to go do one more thing for himself, you know? And at the end of the day, it's a lesson learned, you know what I mean? And if I ever am in the position where I have to fight a teammate again, I hope he understands. Nothing's personal, you know? I just don't want to go through what I went through that time with Omari, you know? So you live and you learn in those moments, but at the end of the day, it's an eye-opener because fighting is an individual sport. American Top Team is an amazing team. I love this team. I want to trade it for nothing, but it's an individual sport, you know? Pros and cons. The pros is we have amazing training partners. The cons, you might end up fighting one of your training partners. So you just got to kind of, if you don't like it, go train at another gym and then you'll be able to fight all the other guys. You know what I mean? And then, so you just have to kind of pick and choose. And fortunately for me, and unfortunately too, I've seen this happen before in the past. Lawler, Tyrone, you know what I mean? I've seen that happen on the most biggest stages ever, the most intense moments, and I've seen relationships torn apart. So hopefully by this time now, 2025, I'm sure we could all be adults about this and get through the business side of things, you know?
Be professional.
Be professional, yeah.
Just what it comes down to and all. You don't let the personal ego, anything like that get in the way. And both of you represent American Top Team, so if that time comes,
yeah.
Okay, you do your thing, I'm doing my thing. Let's see who comes out and wins this thing.
You know, I tell people all the time, just to leave you on that question. I tell people all the time, if American Top Team poofed away today, right? If this gym poofed away off this piece of land and all the fighters in here poofed away, these MMA organizations would have a big problem. They would have a lot of cards falling out, and what do I do? Because at the end of the day, you come dip in this gym here and you need a fighter, you're gonna find a fighter. There's a yes guy in here that's gonna say yes. He doesn't care if it's three giants, a cyclops over there.
Or a fight a week away.
A fight a week away. He's gonna say yes. That's a pro. But at the same time, these organizations, they don't care about that. We need a fight to happen, and you guys have fighters ready to go. So have these guys fight each other. You know, at least when you get to that point, hopefully you're making good money. That way you get paid together, right? We try to avoid that in the regional scene. I'm not trying to build on you. You know, I'm trying to make it to the moment where we're at least making some good money and we could just kind of laugh and enjoy life after this, you know? So, pros and cons about ATT, man.
You've always had a good mindset about everything.
Yeah.
Because when you're out there and you're fighting, it's that focus.
For sure.
Hey, I'm out there, I'm going at this 110%. You don't like the way I do it, you don't like me, that doesn't matter. You respect me, good, whatever. That doesn't matter. I'm going out there. And then you're a thinking man's fighter too. I always think you think not just about the fights. You think about the team. You think about, like you were saying, about the organizations and their need for something like an American Top Team.
100%.
It's always something like that. Josh, have you always been like that? Have you always been like thinking about things, or just thinking, even back in high school and all, in college?
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with watching my dad go to work. You know, sometimes it's like there's different types of ways of learning, right? You learn when somebody's like talking to you. You learn when someone's like showing you something, and then you just have like a learning of like just being around something for so long. It's almost like a weird second nature thing, you know? So I think just being around my dad, and not just my dad, other coaches, you know, from other coaches growing up with Coach Cartel, Coach Pahumpa, and just watching them do their thing and it's almost like as a kid, you're like a sponge and you just take things in, you know? And then you grow up in a gym like ATT, you know, there's a lot of history in here. We ran into a lot of different situations and problems, and you learn as a kid, you know, and then by the time you become a grown man, and you're kind of, it's almost like you have a buddy that's like a tattoo artist, right? Do you want to get a tattoo from him like in the beginning? You almost want him to do a couple tattoos on like other people, you know? Like, hey, I'll come see you in about 8 years. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's kind of like one of those situations where like, by the time I got into my fighting career, I was just like, okay, I've seen that, okay, that's a mistake there. I know there's a hole in the ground over there, and I know things are right there, you know? And you approach the situation a little bit more mature versus just going to get a tattoo artist from the guy who's been tattooing for a week. You know what I mean? You gotta, same thing with haircuts too. You want to go to the barber? You want to be the guy that's practicing on you? At least the haircut, your hair will grow back.
That's true.
You know, so it's one of those things where I feel like, and this is one of those things where I'm just blessed, right? I didn't have, not that I didn't have an option. I was put in this position because of I was born into this position, you know, so I'm blessed enough to have these learning moments and these mature mindsets because I was in this environment. I'm not saying that I wouldn't have been in this environment if I wasn't Conan's son, but it definitely helps me. You know, it definitely helps me and approach different situations such as fighting your own teammate or business versus, you know, hey man, I love you, but this is the business side. You know, at the end of the day, you're going to feel much better making the more professional decision than the emotional decision.
And it's interesting, business side, because even now today, now you got high school kids and college kids having to deal with the business side with NIL and all these other things that are going and all. It's really crazy in that regard. But I do want to mention this first. A couple more questions, I'll let you go. And I always appreciate your time, Josh.
Sure.
You know that. You mentioned two things I don't have, hair nor tattoos. And I'm just wondering, were friends doing hair and tattoos and you had to say to them, no, I'm going to wait a little bit. I mean, is that the example? Did something happen here? I kind of think there might be a hair or tattoo story here.
So the hair thing, I was my buddy's hair client for a while. When he helped me, you know, I helped him do I helped him with his low fades, you know. So I was a low fade guy for a while. He had me lopsided for a couple times, you know. But the hair was never a big deal. It was a free haircut essentially, even though sometimes I looked funny. Shout out to Caesar Molina. He knows what's up. And tattoo, I do have a couple tattoo stories. I'll leave you guys with this one right here. This tattoo probably could have been done better.
I'm going to get in there, Josh. Get in there.
Probably could have been done better, but you know, it's a college tattoo. I did it myself. I probably should have took a tattoo class beforehand, before I tried this, but it came out pretty good. You know, so
Josh is getting into the tattoo business. Josh Silveira, we're learning things. That's what I mean. Josh is going to be a tattoo artist. I didn't know. Are you watching?
I had to practice on myself first.
Are you watching the Ink Show on TV and all that, and all these tattoo shows that they have?
Miami Ink or something like that.
Yes. It's going to be ATT Ink. I got it. I got this. I know it's trademark it, copyright it, whatever you have to do, Josh. All right, we'll wrap this up. So your first opponent, Shipman, quarterfinals.
Yep. Mike Shipman.
What do you do? And I asked Dalton this too. I was interviewing Dalton Rosta as well from American Top Team. But what are your thoughts of now at this stage? Because you made it to the finals last year. You fought Impa, the champion.
Yeah.
He's going to be in this as well. We'll go to the second round. I know you don't want to jump ahead, but before that, with Shipman, I'm just curious. Do you watch his fights? Are you watching the fighters that you haven't fought? Fight and seeing what's going on, because I know each fight can be different.
For sure. I'm for sure watching. I'm watching Shipman's fights. I'm not obsessed over his fights, you know, but I'm watching them. It's, you gotta like, anybody who says they don't watch it, you know, is just complete crap. You know, I mean, you're gonna watch the person you're fighting. You at least want to see their tendencies and things like that. But he's a tough guy. I think anybody at this point, if you're fighting at a world tournament for $500,000, I think toughness comes with it. You know, I don't think PFL would hire any guys who aren't tough. So Shipman's for sure tough, and I'm looking forward to fighting him. I just think talent-wise, I think I'm just a little bit more talented than him. I'm just a little bit more better in all the aspects. But like I said, he's tough. He has good power in his hands. He's a KO guy, so I gotta respect him. But I'm ready to get after it, man. I'm excited. I'm 32 years old. I'm gonna be a dad. So I got this weird dad power.
Oh, he's gonna be a dad, isn't it?
I don't know what it is.
Do we know boy or girl yet?
It's a girl, baby girl.
Oh.
So be careful, boys.
Be careful. That's exactly right.
Be careful.
This man has a smile on his face now, but I'm telling you, watch him fight. No, I don't want to. No, you won't do anything wrong. That girl will be well protected. That's great. Congratulations, Josh.
Thank you.
So, following up with that too, Dalton's only lost is to Aaron Jeffrey, and Aaron Jeffrey's in this tournament too.
Yeah.
You fought Impa, and you progressed in your fights against him.
Yeah.
So, for you, your experience, being in all these situations you've been in,
For sure.
how do you? Okay, Shipman's next. I don't want to focus on the next round because that could be the rematch. But what are your thoughts with that?
No, I saw that they put Impa and I on the same side, and the same thing with them. PFL is basically saying we'll rather have a semifinal rematch instead of a finals rematch, which I totally respect. They want new things, they want new matches, but at the same time, the matchup's still there. I'm not thinking about the second round. Fabian and Impa, they're gonna do their thing. It's a good fight too. I'll be able to watch it after, because they're the main event. So I'll be there to watch it after. I really can't tell you how that fight's gonna turn out. I can tell you that I'm gonna win 150%. But if it's Fabian, cool. If it's Impa, here we go again.
It's so interesting, though. It really is interesting.
It really would be, And if I have to fight him again, and I'll pull a Izzy Adesanya one against Pereira.
No.
I'll pull one as soon as he won. Pereira's like, I still beat you 2 out of the 3. He's like, no more rematch. It's even, So I don't care, if I see him in the second round and I beat him. I don't care that he beat me twice. If I beat him once, we're even, whatever. Especially if I KO him, Then you could give me. Then I'm ahead of the point. But I'm not.
I always go to the last fight, the last fight of the series or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I always think that you could win 3 fights, but then the last time you fight and you win, it's like, aha, I overcame that or whatever it is and all. I always look at the last fight.
I used to tell my friends all the time, I'd go over their house, play FIFA or 2K, and I would tell them all the time, I don't care how many times you beat me. As soon as I beat you that last time, I'm going home.
You're the champ. The last fight, you're the champ.
They don't want to let you go home. They lock the door. They'll play me one more time. I go, no, dude, my hands are, I'm done. I'll see you tomorrow, pal. You feel good. You go home feeling good, even though you lost 8 out of the 10 games.
Doesn't matter. That last time, you're the new champ. That last one, you're the new champ.
So whatever happens.
Yeah.
Cool, and I'm praying for Dalton too, for everything. Well, I know he wants to get that rematch with Aaron. But yeah, it's kind of funny, man. It's a competition between us, and then it's kind of a competition within the gyms too. ATT, we would love to, me and him at the finals. That'd be great for ATT. That'd be great for us. It shows, and probably for them too. Aaron and Impa is probably thinking the same way.
Yeah.
Hopefully we could get into the finals, and I'm sure. They have their plan and what they want to do, and we have our plan and what we want to do. We got to take it one fight at a time, take care of business, and by August, you're fighting for $500,000. It happens like that.
It's almost interesting too when you say that. You could do an American top team versus Kill Cliff MMA, tournament style. Just between the 2 gyms. I mean, basically, that's almost what it is.
Yeah.
When you look at the rosters and all like that, but there would be so much just excitement for each gym as well, 100%. And like that. So that's just something. Who knows down the road? Okay, we'll wrap this up. High school wrestling. Wow.
Yeah.
Coach Mocco, his 2 boys now. Michael won for the 3rd consecutive time state championship for your alma mater, Cardinal Gibbons. Peter, who won at Coral Springs Charter last year, state champion. He went to Gibbons. He finished second. It was a tough. I didn't see the final, to be honest with you, but it was a tough. Yeah, it was a tough situation in that.
It was a DQ situation.
It was a DQ situation on a hold.
Coach
So
actually he gave me his what's the wrestling account? What's the wrestling account that
track wrestling, flow wrestling, flow wrestling.
He gave me his flow wrestling account
to watch the video.
Yeah, because I know how wrestlers get, and
I didn't see it
as a dad, as his dad. As Coach Moccos, Peter's dad, I could feel his pain as a wrestling father. And I don't even have my kid yet, right? But I could feel his pain dealing with a state finals match. PD lost because of a DQ. It reminds me of when I lost back in the day because of the shoelace rule. I don't know if you remember that back in the day.
No, I don't. No.
Yeah.
At Barron Collier?
No, I was.
Or in college?
I was at Barron Collier.
Yeah,
I was
high
wrestling
school.
a guy named Jay Taylor. I don't know if you know who Jay Taylor is. He was one of the few kids from Pennsylvania that transferred down to Florida. I had to wrestle a PA kid. What are the odds? I had to wrestle a Pennsylvania kid in the state finals. So before the match started, he wrestled for Oviedo. Before the match started, my shoelaces weren't taped properly, and so they gave him a point, I guess, stalling the match. I ended up losing 5-4. Yeah, a lot of referees came up to me after that day, like, "Hey, man, that was a horrible call. The ref should have just let you tape your shoelace. It's the state finals, and I correlate that a lot with Petey's match. Is it really a DQ? Did it look bad? Was it, the kid fell over the top? Was the kid down 3-0? That plays a lot. The 20 minutes later, is the kid in the back having a Coca-Cola, eating pizza? What's going on? But it sucks because.
Can you talk to Peter about a situation like that? Do you think?
For sure, because it's at such a young age.
He's a freshman.
When you think about your life as a whole, right? When you become 30s and 40s, you're gonna deal with life situations that you can't deal with. But as a freshman, right? You're 14, 15 years old. Usually, not saying for all the kids, most of the time, you have a pretty good life in your hands, right? You haven't really dealt with so much tragicness and things like that. But when you're in a sport like wrestling and you're dealing with individual situations, he's heartbroken from that. From a bad call, it's like it's a horrible thing, but it's a life-growing situation that he'll learn from that. I remember when I lost the state finals. I thought
good thing you guys weren't seniors.
Yeah,
you and him. What year were you? A junior that year
I was
or no?
A junior that year.
And he's a freshman. You went back and won state the next year. He did win state last year, but he has opportunities 3 more to win more state titles.
And for him, it's like I think he wanted to be a 4-timer really bad. My senior year at Cardinal Gibbons, I remember going 49-1. My first match, I got DQ'd. So I ended up going 0. I started my season 0-1. You believe that? I looked at everybody. I said, "This is ridiculous."
How did you get DQ'd with Coach Salesman Frank there? I mean, come on. How did you...
I was going against a guy from Homestead. I had a single leg. He wanted to do that back. When they do like a backflip and they re-enter on a shot, and he ended up spiking his own head, and he stayed on the ground. Kind of did the same thing with this other match against Petey, and when I realized, I was like, this guy's not going to wrestle, and I was like, I'm getting DQ'd, and then for the first time...
Why are they making a no contest?
There's in wrestling, there has to be a winner, and then for the first time, I was like, I've never started my season with a losing record. I ended up taking 3rd at the tournament, and then I won 49 matches in a row. Smashed everybody. But the pressure went off, and hopefully Petey will feel the same thing. Whatever. It is what it is. That's the past. You'll get over that. It'll be a good story to tell.
He's going to nationals now.
Yeah.
He's got nationals coming up, so he's got that to get ready for.
That's what happened to me. When I took 2nd in Florida, I ended up winning nationals.
Yep.
And then I won state. And Jay Taylor ended up taking 2nd at the weight class above.
Oh.
How crazy was that?
I
didn't get to wrestle the kid again and beat him, but he ended up losing a different weight class that same year. He looked at me like, how the hell did this kid win a national title? I beat this kid. I was like, yeah, because my shoelace was untied.
That's right. You didn't beat me. The shoelace beat me. That official beat me.
His coach was J-Rob. Remember J-Rob, the Oviedo guy?
Oh, Oviedo. No, I don't. I know Oviedo and Brandon. Oviedo and Brandon were always like the two programs, but I don't remember. No, I didn't remember any of that.
Was the Oviedo coach, and man, he was such a talker. He was like a salesman too. Such a talker. Yeah, man.
Coach Frank and him just...
Sometimes, it's not... The wrestler doesn't have to be that great, but if the head coach is a good salesman and he knows how to... Meet me at the table.
Right, and talk to the officials. Exactly, I know that. With working the officials. It's true though. But anyway, listen, Josh, but the Mocco brothers are doing great. They're awesome.
Congratulations to Michael, man. He's a beast. He's a beast. Honestly, the kid's a stud. I can't wait to see what he chooses with his life because he has so many opportunities to do whatever he wants.
That's Josh. He's a high school state champ. He's a college standout. He's an MMA tough guy. He's a champion and everything. Now he's going to be a champion dad. And then we learned he's a champion tattoo artist too. This is amazing. Thank you, Josh.